Kolo Yahawah, Bahasham Yahawashi, Bahasham Gagadash, the water Yahawah, water Yahawah, Bahasham Yahawashi, Rakatha Yahawah, for your love all the time. Barakatha Yahawashi, Bahasham Yahawashi, Bahasham Rakakadash, Kolo Yahawah, Bahasham Yahawashi, the water Yahawah, for the akim that you supply. Water Yahawah, for the aqua that comply. Kolo Yahawah, Bahasham Yahawashi, Babakasha Yahawah, for a power that you supply. Kolo Yahawah, Bahasham Yahawashi, Shalaki Yahawah, for my sins as I cry. Kolo Yahawah, Bahasham Yahawashi. Shalom, shalom. It's your brother, Obadiah Yahawashi, and I am here with a lesson, clearly, that the Most High welled up in my spirit to do. And I believe it's appropriate. He obviously feels it's appropriate because he controls all things at all times in every measure that we can imagine, on and forward and the like. I'm just a servant. That's it. Simple servant. I don't claim to be anything more than that. I'm very humble and happy to just be that much a servant. And that's all that I really look forward to doing for the Most High, is just be his servant. I mean, you know, we got prophets out here, and they're doing an excellent job for the Most High. They're doing the job that a lot of us can't imagine, you know, the magnitude of the sacrifice that they have to endure. They think that it's just a basic religious movement or something of that nature, but that's not the case at all. It is clearly in the hands of Yahawah, Bahasham Yahawashi, and ultimately the Father is the foundation of everything that is moving, and all agendas are covered by him and will be continually covered by him. So that in itself is exactly what we need to adhere to and understand, and that our Heavenly Father is covering all agendas, and he is in control of absolutely everything that's going on, and beyond the shadow of a doubt. And so we need to make sure that we pay attention to that clearly. This lesson is titled, of course, Bahasham Yahawashi's Year of Full Disclosure and Exposure, which we can clearly see is happening and going on at this present time. And that's also so important. I want to give our salutations and our utmost respect and admiration to the men of the ones who basically, I feel, were given the accuracy and the position to bring forth the enlightenment first, and that would be the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that were out here from the beginning, given this opportunity to bring this truth forward as accurately as possible. And we're going to discuss a little bit about what the Father gave me in terms of explaining the nuances of doctrine, definitions, and dissemination. We're going to go into that a little bit here in the beginning of this dissertation, the portions of the lesson. I would suggest that if you want to get something out to write with and to take some notes, it would be to your benefit, not only just to edify and exhort, but also to educate. And I, listening to the brethren over the last couple of days and just a couple of weeks here, a lot of the exhortation is centered around what level and what percentage of information is true and not only true but accurate and coming forth in the spirit of righteousness as much as possible as we can have, being as we are on this earth, just filthy rags trying to process what we consider to be righteousness, right? So be that as it may. We're going to discuss a few of those things as we move forward here. Of course, like you said, like the Father said, all his doctrine is given, to us as inspiration, roughly paraphrased, and good for instruction as well as teaching, just roughly paraphrasing that. It, those of you. We're primarily here trying to express and speak to who the Most High said he's trying to address, and that is his elect. There's a feeling and a nuance that's being sent around through various, I would say, parchments of teaching, different parchments. People pick up various things from those individuals that seem to and claim to be their leaders in their ministry in terms of what they're offering as their sacrifice, right? And those particular leaders bring forth their level of understanding, but foundationally, they fall short in many ways in terms of expressing who they originally got the information that they are disseminating. And, and we're going to talk about that. And that's important because, it's not as though truth is not being given. It's just that when truth is given, but given out of context, or if it's given and it's not complete in terms of its accuracy, you're going to run into problems that become very Hippocratic in terms of what your actual position is when you're trying to serve Bahasham, Yahawashi in this ministry. And people get off and distort and stand in specific areas of what they consider their doctrine of their organization, of their camp, of individuals who lead their organizations and camps. And when they do this becomes extremely problematic, because then you really get close to the blasphemous process of adding and taking away from the word. And we know in Scripture, if you're adding and taking away, your situation in the heavenly realm, in the kingdom, in terms of the order that you would fall into as far as your lot is concerned, is in grave jeopardy. All right. So we have to be careful about what thus saith the Lord Yahawah and how he presents his doctrine. And this is what we need to make sure that we clearly are bringing forth in the right way. So that in itself makes so much a difference. Let me get my glasses on because I want to be able to see well. Okay. Like for instance, let's talk about doctrine for a minute, because I think that's a very important topic. My fro is all over the place, but that's the way it goes. Let's talk about doctrine. Thus saith Yahawah is basically what doctrine is and should be, and it has to be. Doctrine, in terms of the right and accurate doctrine, I'm not talking about false prophets and individuals that the Most High puts in a position to do things that we look at from various platforms. We look at them from a carnal platform because we grow up mostly in that capacity as we're here in this flesh. And so the first thing that pops out in most people's situation, as well as myself, is we get a carnal perspective on what doctrine is. We get a carnal perspective on how we look at individuals who are presenting information to us and in what light and fashion they're presenting information to us. We get that, okay? We get that going on. And we kind of go in a carnality fashion first, because that's the nature of what we've been used to living in for, you know, a numerous amount of time as far as this flesh goes. I did a lesson later in the past on, you know, how that you know, we operating in the spirit more consistently is something that has to be taught and trained. As I said before about that, you know, when we talk about in many of the camps and many of the teachers and many of the given men of the Lord, to so to speak, if I could use that phrase and very generously, they're giving information, like I said, that it basically it springs from the manner of the teachers that they've been influenced by. But again, all things that are being brought forward, as I will continue to say always, the Most High Yahawah is in complete control of everything and all things that He's created and everyone. No one's doing anything or going off and doing stuff without Him having full authorization and control of everything that's happening. And we have to really take heed to understand this and bring this forward in everything we're saying. When we don't do that, we actually put ourselves in a position where we roll into Matthew chapter 13, and we're going to talk about Matthew 13, and we're going to go through 10 down through 17 and what have you, or more. Maybe we go further in terms of explaining why Yahawashi spoke in parables and said what he said. But what I'm saying to you is, when we get a hold of a specific portion of thus saith the Lord, or the doctrine, which is filtered down through the disciples that followed Yahawashi and Yahawashi himself, and then what these different types of religious practitioners, as well as men of the Lord that are in the truth, that have a portion of that truth, they latch onto a spirit of a portion of the doctrine of thus saith the Lord, Yahawashi, and then they make that the they sort of make it like the main presentational preference in terms of how they deliver the truth, whether they're delivering it in a fashion that is creating an immediate hostile situation between people who come up to them and are interested in seeing what they're saying, or if they're actually bringing out truth, but the portion of truth, the definition in terms of the accuracy of understanding, you know, as far as the meaning of terms, is not something that is just deeply dove into and explained. You know, like for instance, example, if we just go and a person or people walk by on the highways and byways or wherever you happen to be teaching, if you're at a lakefront, a park, or wherever you are, and someone comes up and listens to you and hears what you're saying and what you're preaching and teaching, and let's say that you're speaking in terms of someone's nationality, because that seems to be one of the going things for a lot of the fringe organizations that didn't come out in the beginning with all of the accuracy of the truth. They'd get a good portion of it. Let's just say they start out with asking someone about their nationality, you know, who you derive from as far as your pedigree is concerned, your perennial pedigree. And then of course they before they go into understanding, in terms of, like when I say understanding, I mean dissemination, which basically, if you're going to disseminate something, right, you're going to specifically say something that is widely spoken, but it must be accurately. Okay, so if you're going to do that, you have to you know, make sure you sparingly put it out in terms of you disseminating, but you want to do it widely enough where you also are accurate. And that means the same thing when you're covering what you're asking of someone. So as we know in James 1:1, we've been scattered throughout all the nations and all over the world in terms of as a people. So you can't just look at someone and automatically decide that, well, they are this or they are that. You have to discern from the spirit. But if your spirit isn't discerning correctly because of the definitions of what you don't understand the spirit is, you're going to cause some problems in terms of your doctrine that you're bringing out. And it's going to be very hypocritical and it's going to be hostile, and it's going to be have some flaws in it, and you're going to border on uh, adding to and taking away from specifically the word of Yahawashi. Now, again, I always have to say this. I'm never going to not say this. If this is what's going on, if your organization, if your camp, if your leaders, if the men who you're with or under or working with or standing by and preaching with, if they at some particular point are doing some things that don't seem to line up at all with doctrine and scripture, you still have to remember the Father is doing all of this, and he has a purpose behind why he does what he does, and we don't have the right to question him. And we run into problems, all of us do, in terms of how we, experience what not only Jake does as far as the chosen seed of the Most High through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, not Esau, and they, as well as discerning them. We gotta still foundationally remember the Father's doing this with them. So if we have a problem with the way that he's using the bug outs from his left hand side, then we need to go back to the mirror and see if we can see the Mashiach and who we are in terms of what we're doing. Mashiach, Yahawashi Mashiach, never had a question about his Father's methods in terms of what he's doing, how he's doing it, when he does it, or what he does. Now, of course, we as created entities, we have to fall in and find the order that upon which we're supposed to stand in and operate in through the clues that the Father gives us as prophecy is moving forward. We're supposed to follow these clues. We're supposed to understand that this is our lot and what we're supposed to accomplish. Whether you are a person who's bugged out and being bugged out by the Father, whether in this truth, as people may say, or not in the truth, or soon to be awakened, or maybe not at all. Whatever your position is, that's the lot upon which the Father has put you in that lot. No one's going to call you out of it. No man, no created entity here that is not all powerful like the Father through Yahawashi is going to change the way you're going to operate. You can complain about what brethren do, who bugged out this, who got thrown out of that, who got kicked out of here, but you got to still render back to the Father as far as foundationally is concerned. He's doing it. So why do you have a problem with it? Well, because what? You're told to preach to the reprobates and call your people out of sin, but primarily you're calling the election out of sin. So if you're going to call the election out of sin, you have to make the selection of the election you're calling based on picking up the clues that the Father's given you in reference to how to call them out. Just like when he called out you, he called you out in a way where your selection was apparent and the Spirit brought you into the truth. And there, from that truth, you've been able to learn. And as you learn and grow, and then eventually as you learn, grow, and then maybe teach, you can learn to call out those through his hand and through his Son, who it is that can be reached. And it's not a very difficult process to make that dissemination. Again, dissemination, where you're sparingly doing this in a very, I would just say a widely spread process, but you have to be accurate in spreading the situation in a disseminating fashion. And if you're not operating from the Spirit and you're bringing, you're flip-flopping in things that are carnal, that are here under the law, and then things that are spiritual that are here under the law, and you're flip-flopping between the two. You start out spiritual, then you flip-flop some carnal aspects into what you're teaching or preaching or giving exhortation to, and then you flip-flop back to spiritual when you go into the reprimanding or the reproving process. And then you flip-flop back to carnal because it bothers you about what you're experiencing, what you're viewing and seeing. You become very confused, and you become very double-minded. And even though you may not know it, this is the process that you're going under. Adding things that you want in the spirit world that you've experienced here in this temporal physical world, as my elder brother Yaki always says. This temporal world, right? you're flip-flopping things. You're saying, well, I'm going to have this when I get to the kingdom because I'm experiencing it here right now in the fallen state of this particular world system, this temporal world system that's wickedly being cleansed and purified. So now you want to think that what's being cleansed and purified is not these temporal things here. No one's cleaning up, Father and Yahawashi is not cleaning up Esau's, look, he's not cleaning up Esau's shit and letting you have it in the new covenant in the new kingdom. That's why he said in the scriptures that it will be the law of your fathers had that applied to this particular fallen system is not going to apply the same way in the new covenant. If it were so, you would have accurate, direct information that speaks clearly to that. This is what we were talking about, having the same mind, speaking the same thing, and not changing or adding to the doctrine of thus saith Yahweh, the Lord. When you do that, you end up adding what you think you want when you get to the new kingdom and the new covenant, if that is where your destination is. It's not going to be that way. When the Father says he's going back to perfect, go back and understand what he deemed and determined was perfect before the fallen state of this world. Stop getting confused by what you lust for. That's not going to work that way, okay? You know, I've spoke about this many times. No heathens are going to be, no reproach from any heathens is going to be done by anyone who is a man of the Lord. It would have to be done by Yahawah, by Bahasham, Yahawashi. And he's already determined what he's doing with the heathens. He's already determined what he's doing with the male and female heathens. They have their what's being directed that they're going to accomplish and they're going to do. You're not getting them to do anything different than what the Most High Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi has already predetermined what you're going to do and what they're going to do. And after they finish their duties, they're going to be set where he said they're going to go. That is written. Your wants, your lusts, your wishes, your dreams, it ain't going down like that. Everything's going to be in order. Okay, case in point. Let's take the 613 laws. If you can receive this, see if you can, because it's a different type of a breakdown, but it doesn't deviate from what the apostles and everyone's been teaching from the beginning. Let's look at it. Okay, 613 laws. If you break down the 6 and the 1 and the 3. Now, what we know of is what we've been given. We've been given the 613 laws. Now, if you want to use the term, that's a percentage that's at 100 for that which was given, then that's what you want to do. That's fine. Now, I choose to say accuracy is more in line with following thus saith Yahweh, okay? Because there's nowhere in the word that specifically says a specific number of accuracy, all right? It doesn't do that. So, and so I'm not going to beat on that because it's not that serious in terms of worrying about it. What you need to worry about is, are you receiving the accuracy of the truth of what's been given for the prophetic timelines that we're going through? We're going through specific prophetic timelines that the Father set up, that Yahawashi is accomplishing, and that we're seeing in this transitional period as we go through Scripture, as we go through this dispensation time that we're in right now. I know dispensation is a tough word to use at times, but let's just say this ionic or this particular time period, we're going and seeing prophecy unfold in front of our faces. And what we're seeing is the accuracy of that prophecy unfold. Now, what we want to adhere to is how accurate we're explaining how we're going through and experiencing this. That's what should be your focal point and most important. If you do not explain the prophecy timeline and the process of what prophecies we're going through in the accurate fashion, then your percentage of what you're bringing is not accurate. It's just as simple as that. It's not accurate. So you have, and how do you get that accuracy? Well, you get it from going over what the Father has presented for you already, and the fact that he is the one that's controlling it through his son, and along with the angels, because you can see all these things happening. And this is your proof, and these are your receipts in terms of how this is moving forward. So knowing that this process is important, number one, your doctrine has to be thus saith the Lord in terms of, and thus saith the Lord is through all of his doctrine, if you think about it, because even if the disciples of Yahawashi are the ones who are bringing it forward, whether it's through Hebrews or whether it's through Colossians or First Peter or John or so on and so forth, it still has to come from the spirit inside of you that wells up as thus saith Yahawah through Yahawashi and angels. Now, if you stay on that track, the percentage of your accuracy is going to be where it needs to be for what is given to you at that period of time that we're going through in prophecy. Do you get this? Can you receive it? Okay, let me give you an example. All right, 613 laws. Receive it, think about it, write it down. Okay, so let's take 6 first. Let's take the number 6. The number 6 has a biblical connotation in reference to, it says that it's what, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, 6 is in reference to what? Mankind, or reference to man. It has that reference. But I was given by Bahasham that 6 days of creation, or the 6 laws to the 6 days of creation, is dealing with sustainable order of creation. If you can receive this, 6 days, I said 6 days of creation is explained in a definitional process of the sustainable order of creation that Yahawah put forth when he did everything. Day 1, what did he create? Light and light in the darkness. Okay, the light from the darkness came, right? Day 2 was the sky. Now, that sky could represent various mass environment where he's going to put other ordinances, which happens to be something that comes up on 4. Okay, 3, he created what? We're talking about the earth now, right? In terms of reference to that. Dry land and plants. Okay, so day 1, light in the darkness, or the light comes through the darkness, right? The sky, in terms of where he's going to place things in terms of the order, right? 3, he took day 3, dry land and plants. Now, day 4, he did the sun, the moon, the stars, those ordinances that are going to be in what we would call sky or in heaven, right? Day 5, he did water, sky, and sky animals. He did the water and the sky animals, the water animals and sky animals, right? Day 5, he did the water and the sky animals, but also remember, on day 5, if you read it, he also created some humanistic entities at that time. A lot of people and wacky-tackies and other religious practitioners, they don't even speak on that in that terms. They try to tell you, and no one was created until the 6th or 7th day. No, 5 was getting the start of that, okay? Now, we know also when water and sky animals were created, talked about Leviathan, and I'm not going to go delve into all that. You do your research, you know about that. And on day 6, of course, he created land animals and, of course, more people, okay? More people. So the process of humanistic design and manufacturing through the Father's creation was starting to peak out in 5, and then, of course, 6, and then, of course, 7. It says that the Father rested. Now, let's understand that portion of what we call rest. The Father is sovereign and self-sustaining and existing forever, and his infinitiveness is continuous. Every day in creation, he never stops. So he didn't have to rest. The rest portion of that understanding is equivalent to him saying the cycle is continuing. All right. So when you hear rest, see, don't get all messed up, because Esau takes definitions and he confuses you with his enchantments and the way that he brings things to you. And we're going to talk about that a little bit before we get into our scriptures also, because we ride heavily on the definitions that the father is allowed to puppetize Esau to present, because Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So you have to take into consideration when you start looking at the blue letter and various other translations and transliterations of the truth, you have to get the spirit to filter through the understanding in the spirit of what it is what you're actually reading and what you're bringing in and bringing out in terms of dissemination to the sheep and to the elect. Because clearly we know Esau's been given an opportunity and a platform to bring and give you definitions that you're quoting and that you're speaking on. You're going back, and of course we're going back and we're speaking on, and we're talking about Greek letter word transitions and translations, as well as Hebrew word letter and translations. And we have to remember, we ourselves are not the ones that are publicizing the information. The Most High is publicizing it through the small hats, the Edomites, and those individuals that are in that control of presenting that information, which is our information. And you know them. My brother Malcolm always says, when they give you one truth, they give you two lies. If they give you two truths, they give you three lies along with it. So knowing this, it is imperative and important that what we understand when we read, we know who we're getting it from. So when you feel so self-assured about giving a definition for something, you better be very clear in terms of breaking down what it is you're talking about as far as those terms are concerned. You know, I've always thought about it myself. I say to myself, okay, we're supposed to be speaking the sacred language of heaven, which is Paleo-Hebrew, right? Okay, so then the first order of explanation in terms of definition should always come from the Paleo-Hebrew. Okay, why? I mean, I'm just saying, think about the order of understanding. Paleo-Hebrew is our spoken language in heaven, and what we will probably speak as well when we get to the new covenant and the new kingdom. But whatever cleaned up rendition of that will be, we don't know. But we do know we've been given the sacred name in Paleo-Hebrew. So if we're speaking the sacred name, which my brothers, they do it, and they stick to it accurately at GMS, none of the others do that. And they should definitely be well commended for that and respected for that. But not to belabor the point or digress. The point is, if we're going to be speaking first in terms of speaking to our people to let them know and recognize the sacred name, the sacred language, then we should be speaking and bringing forth definitions and explanations and dissemination first through the Paleo-Hebrew, okay? Just like you see on the garment, okay, in terms of, what particular tribe through the spirit and other factors I've been able to uncover, Reuben, okay? And you'll see, it'll say over here, Ra'aban, right? Ra'aban, and then over here, it does the language also in the Paleo-Hebrew. So we want to stick to our sacred language and our sacred renditions and definitions and explanations first. Now, why are we giving Greek? Well, we're going to give it because of the Hellenistic and Hellenista captivity processes that we went through, and that we still speak a captive language as I'm speaking to you now. And what they call English is not probably the English that they started when they first got a hold of us. And then we were trained down and broke down in doctrine to speak in this way. But you understand what I'm saying because you've been so long into it. My brother Malcolm always goes into the fact that the Assyrian script was what what the small hats and the Jewish Yiddish influence through that Slavic Germanic language and interpretation of using Hebrew characters, but they're speaking in that language. But when the Northern Kingdom was in the Assyrian captivity, first of all, they went in speaking Paleo-Hebrew. They retained Paleo-Hebrew, but they were influenced by Assyrian and Chaldean language and script to a degree. I'm not going to go all the way back into the semantics of the languages and how they break down. That's another lesson for another time. But when they came out of the Assyrian captivity, when Judah, Benjamin, and Levi hadn't went in yet, but they were the first to go in as far as the 10 tribes of the Northern Kingdom when the split happened with Solomon. So anyway, they came out, and when they went over to this area of this continent where man never dwelt before, they went back to the Paleo-Hebrew, but of course they they also had a lot of problematic issues of sustaining the way that they should be operating because of the curses that were on us. But they went to Paleo, and then Malcolm always brings out the fact that the coinage had Paleo Hebrew on it in terms of the script. And the small hats, the individuals that call themselves Jewish people, they use the Assyrian script, and of course they paint it and they overshadow it with their Yiddish Slavic language. The tribe of Judah, Benjamin and Levi, even coming out of the Babylonian captivity, they never used the Assyrian script. They never done that. They never were speaking that language. So this in itself shows you we have to try to be more accurate through praise, worship, and prayer wrapped in repentance to the Father in reference to making sure he guides us through the clues so we can understand how to present information, present doctrine, present, the way we should present doctrine and definitions and dissemination of his truth. Because if we're not doing that in that way, then you're bordering on blaspheming and adding and taking away from the word. I hope that explains some of that portion of it, and that's why I broke down the portion. So now, when I said the six, as far as the 613 laws, the number 6, and I broke down the 6 days that the Father went through sustainable order of creation. Now, the 1 obviously is very simple. You could probably figure that out. The 6, the 1, the 3 out of 613. The 1 represents, of course, who? No other than the self-existing Heavenly Father. Total infinitiveness, continuous, everyday creation. Yahawah, he's the one. He's the only one. And that one is the one who brought forth Yahawashi, brought the Ruach HaKodesh, and then created Yahawashi, and then here we go, all right? And then, of course, the 3, the number 3 in the 613 or the 613 laws, the 3 would be, of course, very simple. The Father, the Son, and the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, which is the total ranking order in managing all creation. If you can receive this information, the total ranking order, right? Managing all creation. Explain, all right? Total ranking order. Father is the one who created the total ranking order, right? The Son is managing what? All creation through the Ruach HaKodesh. It's not that complicated if you can receive it, all right? I know maybe no one's broke it down to you like that. Maybe the Spirit isn't speaking to you like that. And that could be primarily one of the reasons why we have what we have in terms of how people operate. So let's go into some precepts here and back up what we're saying, because this is what we need to do. And I'm going to start in Matthew chapter 13, because this kind of explains some of what I'm saying in terms of how this goes as far as what the Father's saying, and it's I'm going to bring you all the way into Bahasham Yahawashi's year of full disclosure and exposure, because this is exactly what prophecy is doing anyway. Prophecy is bringing you full disclosure and full exposure of everything that's happening, if you can receive it and follow the prophetic timeline, starting at 10. Now, this is an explanation Yahawashi is given to disciples who are the elect, preferably probably the very elect, about why he speaks in the way that he does and what the purpose is and why those that are not. Now, we know that in Psalms chapter 147, he showeth his word to Jacob, his statutes and commandments to Israel. He has not dealt so with any other nation. That should always be brought out to people when you're talking to the wacky-tacky religious practitioners that practice creation worship, not worshiping the creator, but they worship what he created. Clear? Okay. Verse 10, okay, of Mark chapter 13. And the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? Now, when they said that, they also are referring to themselves, because they didn't understand it at that point yet either. As we have right now with a lot of people who are out here in this world who claim they have the truth, and they got their start from the truth, from the foundation of the men who were given this truth. You know, when Yahawashi was given the truth by the Father, and he gave it down to those he selected during the end time period that things had to move forward as they are now, they were given accuracy of specific amounts of truth for the time period they're in. They will get more, and some will have things taken away. we know the scriptures in reference to that. You know, he gives, and we're going to speak on that. Let's go. Let's finish. All right. 11. He answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. See, he already explained right there, everything else is just going to end up giving you more content to why, as far as they're concerned, but there's some that are given and some that are not, and some that are giving some, but not enough of it yet. And they don't seem to want to be patient and wait. A lot of people push out a lot of stuff that they're saying, and why they push it out, well, it could be a combination. But in conjunction, all things are being done through Bahasham, Yahawashi. Nothing's out of his control. All right, 12. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever have not, from him shall be taken away, even that he had. So you can see how this transpires a lot in reference to how the word is disseminated. I already told you the definition of dissemination, right? I told you that, you know, if they're spreading something widely, but is it accurate? Okay. And you got a lot of stuff that's coming from the truth where the men that are in these fringe camps, they picked up what the men of Great Millstone were bringing out, and then they made fringe doctrines of it in terms of how they explain truth. But it's lacking areas that you can clearly see that do not give you do not resonate the spirit in you to say, oh wow, I really receive all that all the way. They leave you confused in a lot of times how they address people and how they address the truth in the word, and that in itself is unfortunate in terms of the truth. Okay, let's go on. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. Well, what's an example of that? They were given, right, as it says in 12, for whosoever hath, to him shall be given. Now let's understand, for whom it says whosoever hath. Now, who is the whosoever? It's got to be the ones that he has awakened to understand his truth, because this is not directed to the rest of the nations of the world. Now, see, that needs to be explained, because anytime the wacky tackies, anybody else here, whosoever, they automatically think they're included. But this book has never included anybody else. So don't try to impose or insert yourself as being part of this when it doesn't apply to you as a nation of people who were created to serve another purpose, not this purpose, okay? So the whosoever hath, to him shall be given. Now, once it's given, all right, are you giving all of it at that time? Now, the Spirit says it will reveal all things to you, but it didn't say all at once and you got it all. It says that you're going to get what you're supposed to get during the time frame of prophecy as it transpires to explain what's happening in prophecy. Okay, so that's part of to whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. So how do you get more abundance with a colon behind that? That means that when it wells up in your spirit and it matches with the spirit of the Royal Kokadish, the Heavenly Father, you start to get more understanding. You get a rendition that what they're saying doesn't match up with what's actual truth. You can see that pretty much in everything we see of how things are going right now. We tell people something's going to happen. We're reading it through prophecy and through scripture, and we give them a definition. They say that it's already been given, but it doesn't prove out in prophecy. You see what I mean? It doesn't. It's like they say, okay, I remember I was listening to Apostle Kabar. He said something about, the truth, the gospel must be preached around the world, and then the end will come. Well, people think that Christianity is the gospel that was preached around the whole world, when clearly it is around the whole world, but the end ain't come, so that can't be the truth. Okay, clearly you can see that. It's not the truth. So there's no abundance there that has been finished. Okay, so we can see that the abundance is not, and he shall have more abundance. Okay, we don't see more abundance coming from Christianity and the religious practitioners in any of the religions. No more abundance, no abundance at all I've seen coming from that. If you look at the people who follow Kemet and wear ankhs and all this Egyptology stuff, there's no abundance there. Nothing. Same thing for all the religious belief systems that follow the symbolisms that they made from creation. There's no abundance there. Eight-armed Shira ain't doing anything. A big fat Buddha ain't doing nothing. None of these things have no abundance. They're not prophetically bringing anything forward. Okay, but we see the Bible and the Torah through what the Tanakh is bringing in the Pentateuch. Its prophecies are happening and unfolding even today, and everything has been more 100-fold, and everything has been coming out totally accurate that the fathers bring forward. Okay, we can clearly see that to be the case. Okay, again, abundance, but whosoever have not, from him shall be taken away even that he hath. And we see that being taken away from those who are coming out and speaking what they think is truth from when they first got it, because they weren't given it in the beginning when this particular awakening started. So you can tell who has accuracy and who's trying to take from the accuracy and make it seem like they came up with it or they came out with it first or whatever. You know, and that's very confusing. And if you can't clearly see that, then you're being blocked by the Father spiritually in order for you not to see it. And you're not a very good clue solver. You're just not a very good clue solver. It's all to it. So that's why he said 13, therefore speak I to them in parables, because they see not. Right? So they see some of the truth, but they can't really see to give the definition of the terms in the accurate level to bring the whole truth out. Okay? And hearing, they hear not. See, so what is it that they heard to help to get them out on the highways and byways or on the unicorn of information to bring forth this knowledge and truth? They clearly didn't hear it right because they're doing things that are contrary to thus saith Yahawah. Monetary selling of various things that don't matter, because none of this stuff on this fallen state is worth trying to put in a fashion that you think is righteous, or put in any kind of a fashion that you think is going to sustain you or get you into the kingdom. It's not. You're not taking any of this. When your flesh is gone from here, all of the shit you got is staying right here with what you leave behind, your flesh. Okay? You ain't taking none of that. You can take works, and then if your works are questionable, when you get there, you will be addressed about your works. So before, like I said, the lesson I did, before you're set to rest, you will be addressed. And you know who's going to address you. Okay? And neither do they understand. So why don't they understand? Well, you know they don't understand anytime they're still doing Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, when they're calling that the Sabbath, when there was no day called Friday or Saturday when the Sabbath was created. Okay, so they don't understand. And they're blocked from that. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Elias, which saith, by hearing ye shall hear and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see and shall not perceive. So again, Yahawashi is quoting back to what was said through Elijah about the way that we got foreheads of flint. And we don't understand, and we don't get it because we're blocked from it, and we just we're not good clue catchers. We're not catching clues, right? Okay? Okay. Finish it 15. For the people's heart is wax gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, and should understand with their hearts, and should be converted, and I should heal them. Are they healed? No. Are they healed in the mind? No. Are they healed in any capacity? No. So they don't understand. See, again, if the Most High has you in a position where you cannot receive the process of cleansing and purification that he's drawing everything to, and that he's doing everything that's going on, whether you like it or not, and whether you like that he's bugged out people, and whether Jake and Jake Etz and everyone else in this world that he created is doing exactly what he programmed them to do. If you can't understand that he's doing this, then what? You're waxed gross. You got to admit it. Your heart is waxed gross towards the Father, and your ears are dull of hearing. Okay, and your eyes have been closed, lest any time they should be see with their eyes and hear with their ears, should understand. Now he's letting me tell you so you can see with your eyes and hear with your ears, and so that you could understand. When he tells me to tell myself and everyone else, you need to praise, worship, and pray to me wrapped in repentance. But what do we get from a lot of the people who do teaching, and a lot of people that have part of the truth but don't explain the whole nuance of it? They just tell you to pray. Now, all kinds of people pray to all kinds of symbols and things they created that they worship. Bugged out people that the Most High bugged out, right? Heathens, they pray to Buddha. Bugged out people from India and the ones who worship cows and pray to Shira, okay? Bugged out Christians and other religious practitioners and all the divisions in divinity and divination, demonician, I call them demonicians, of not denominations, but demonations that worship JC, Jesus Christ. He got them doing that. They're bugged out. So they can see these symbols, they can hear about these symbols, but they don't understand that's not it. Okay? You see what I'm saying? With their hearts should be converted, and I should heal them. So if you're doing all this and you complaining about what the Most High is doing with them to do all this, then you don't see what he's doing. He told you that we have to go through this level of trouble, and Jacob's trouble's coming, right? In order for us to get out of here. So how you going to flip-flop and be double-minded where you know we got to go through Jacob's trouble, you know it's going to be worse than anything that has ever been cut loose in creation, but you bitching about it. How are you bitching about it? You bitching about what he's doing to bugged out people like heathens and Jake Etz and everyone else. He told you he's doing this because we're going to get out of here. So you get, how many times have I said, the Most High told me to tell you, it's going to get so bad that the demons don't even want to be here. And now you're seeing it start to happen because these demons we're talking about, who we always call the devil, which is Esau and all his people that are part of him, they're even starting to say they don't want to be here and they're fighting against their own people. You see it. So if this is the case, you're not getting this, which means your heart is waxed gross. What does that mean? And their eyes are dull of hearing. How are you, how are your ears and your eyes, your ears dull of hearing, and how is your eyes closed? Because you rebel. One minute you're saying, you're doing all kinds of complaining about how bugged out and crazy Jake is, but the Father's doing it, man. How many times you got to be told this? You know he's doing all things. He's doing it to get us out of here. Are you going, okay, you're going to complain when Jacob's trouble comes, if you can, because it's going to be so severe, you may not even have the strength or the breath to complain, depending on where he has you at demographically in the world once he drops the bottom out of everything. Think about it. Once the Most High drops the bottom out of absolutely everything, I said this before, complete individual isolation tribulation starts definitely within your own mind and your own spirit. Why? Because everybody's used to having some portion of privacy within themselves, even though they are connected and associated with someone else. But think about it. All right, I'll equate it to this, but I'll be tactful, all right? When you go to the bathroom to handle your business, Do you take anybody in there as a group with you to deal with what you got to deal with when you go to the bathroom by yourself? No matter what it is, whether you just go in there to wake up in the morning to wash your face or handle some other business. You go in there privately. That's your private level of isolation that you don't share with nobody else. You don't want nobody else sharing it with you, and you're not communicating that information to anyone else. That's you and the Lord in that bathroom handling your business. Well, guess what? When he drops the bomb on this place, when he drops the bottom out and he goes ahead and doesn't give you any more warning than he's already given you, you're going to go into a bathroom type personal isolation right there, even if you're around everybody. Because your communication level is gone on all platforms. Even if someone's sitting on your lap or right next to you, it doesn't even matter. You will experience a spiritually psychological, direct carnal, direct influential isolation and tribulation trouble right on the spot. Wherever you are and whoever you're with, it won't even matter, because once you know everything as far as the way you operate in the flesh and portions of the way you operate in the spirit are automatically cut off. Why? Okay, let me ask you a question. When everybody goes into isolation, tribulation, if you're in the flesh, you're going, whether you want to go or not. Whether you're the elect, very elect, or not. Look at the very elect that already transitioned home to the Father. And you know who they are. All of the prophets of old and the disciples of old that went with Yahawashi, they will be definitely considered the 144s, okay? Pretty much, right? You disagree? Fine, go ahead. But then they also go through isolation, tribulation. Did they not go through isolation, tribulation? You know you read this, you elect people, you elect men, you read this. None of them got away with not going through isolation, tribulation. Even John on the island of Patmos went through his personal isolation, tribulation. We all are going to go through this. Male, female, animal, vegetable, mineral. When the cutoff comes, when the cutoff period comes, everybody's going through it. You will not escape that. You may not go through the severity of levels of tribulation, but you will be isolated from communication. And even in the spiritual capacity, because whatever you know of this Bible and this truth is all you have. You may not even have a candle and a Bible to sit with. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to have, because you don't know where you're going to be when it happens. If you're alive. If you're alive. So I'm just saying, people talk about, well, I wish the Father would hurry up with isolation, tribulation. You really want Isaiah chapter 13 right now? I'm not ready. I already know I'm not ready. I'm not going to fool myself and try to say that I am. I ain't scared, but I ain't ready. I am not afraid, but I am still not ready. And if you saying you ready and you want it, you don't know what you're talking about. Because he already told you this is going to be worse than anything he's ever dropped in creation. Why don't you marinate on that for a minute? See, but they're not thinking about it like that. All right. 16. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. Well, do you really, and are you really blessed, and do you see it? Or are you bugging out on the fact that Most High is bugging out the whole world, which he said he's going to drop his wrath on the whole world? If you're complaining, you're wrong. You don't have to complain to explain. I'm going to sit back on that one and see if that'll marinate on you for a minute. You don't have to complain to explain. You can explain, and you don't have to whine about how bad Jake is. We already know the Father's bugging Jake out. Most High's been kicking our ass for thousands of years. Oh, so now that we have a platform to talk about it on social media and on whatever you want to call it in the streets or not, you want to complain about it? Explain it the right way. Say the Father's doing it. You don't do that. We used to disclaim in the streets and on teaching. We used to say, that ignorantly call Jesus Christ, or they ignorantly call the Father God, Yahawah God. We used to say this all the time. How come we don't even say it no more? Hey, I know that we don't have a problem with GMS because they always keep the sacred name. But all the rest of these camps and derivatives and takeoffs and offshoots, they don't even do that anymore. They're out there talking about trying to save all Israel when clearly this part of the prophecy in tribulation and the dissemination of the truth is not trying to save all Israel at this time in terms of on this side right now. There's a myriad of stuff on this side that you niggas ain't getting on the other side. And I'm sorry, I'm the messenger bringing you the bad news. Okay, you don't like it. Too bad. You can't prove you're going to get it anyway. So just sit back and continue to take notes. All right? That's just how it go. All right? Again, the Father is self-sustaining. He's controlling everything. And he's self-sustaining, and we stop disclaiming. Did we not? How many times do you, now look in the mirror and check yourself. How many times do you bring up the Father in the course and scope of a whole lesson you do? How many times? How many times do you bring him up? And don't try to lean on, why we got to come in the name of Yahawashi. Yes, you do. But you still got to bring up the Father. We give him a certain amount of credit and homage in the beginning of a lesson. And then, do we do it at the end? Sometimes, or rarely. But in the course of the whole lesson, we talk about what Jake's doing and how Jake's doing stupid shit. And we talk about Esau, how Esau doing stupid stuff. And we talk about all kinds of crazy stuff going on in the world. But you don't contribute to the fact that the Father's the one that's doing it so we can get out of here. This evil temporal world is being controlled by the Father in his hand, and he's doing it the way he decided to do it. If you got a problem with it, then go take it up with him and see what kind of answer he gives you. See what he said. I guarantee you, when the answer you get from him, if you complaining about what he's doing, you're not going to like his answer. You're not. You won't like it. All right? 17. Okay? That's where, and we're going to go to the next precepts that I'm going to read. For verily I say unto you that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see. All right? And have not seen them, and do hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them. So the Most High is telling you through Yahawashi that, look, many of the prophets and the righteous men have desired to want to be in the position you're in right now and actually be going through prophecy, but following the clues the Father gave you to go through it. Boy, I tell you, man, even men in the truth can be a problem all the time, and have desire to see those things which ye see and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear and have not heard them. And of course, he goes into the next portion of this where the sower is explained in terms of sowing, and then it talks, once you get past from 18 to 20, 23, then it goes into from 24 on down through 30 about the tares among the wheat. Now, when I read this, go into it. I'm not going to do all of this for you. Do some more of your own damn work, man. I'm trying to teach you something so you can open up. The mustard seed is also brought out in this scripture, as well as the leaven of Pharisees, and the kingdom of heaven is unto, it's like 33 is another parable spake he unto them. The kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal till the whole was leavened. It's stuff that's rising up in organizations and camps and among people that is leaven that's not even working. It's not even, you rising up stuff that you shouldn't even be, it shouldn't be rising, okay? But again, as I say, I'm never going to back out of it. The Father is covering all things, right? The tares are explained in this situation and what's going to happen, the hidden treasure, the costly pearl, and the dragnet as well. And of course, Yahawashi revisits Nazareth and finishes this out. But I just wanted to just give a little dissertation on that chapter of Matthew 13, which is very important, and you can also reference it in Mark 24, Luke 17, I think it is. So again, this is what I'm saying. Okay, right from that, now I want to go to I'm going to go to the Apocrypha. So go with me. And I'm going to Second Esdras, Esdras, Second Esdras, chapter 9. And the Father through Yahawashi welled up in my spirit to go here to break this down, because to me this is more or less akin to giving a little bit more explanation to Ezra by the Father, the angel of the Lord, right? Yahawashi, in terms of what's coming and why the Father's doing what he's doing to a degree. And I'm gonna give you a few precepts here, quite a few. So just get your Apocrypha out. If you don't have one and you watch it online or whatever, go online to the Apocrypha and the KJV and pull it up. And if you can, you can follow me. And I'm going to be on Second Ezra chapter 9. And of course, I'm going to start at the top, because that's what he told me to do. Okay? And we're going to read and we're going to break it down. All right? Now, Ezra, of course, is the first scribe coming out of the captivity, and he's trying to bring things back together through the Royal Kodesh and Yahawashi, leading him into bringing the books back. And of course, you can go into various other areas of the Apocrypha and read about what Ezra had to go through in terms of 204 books that are out here, and what we have given to the worthy and the unworthy, and then what we're going to have given to the wise at this time. All right. Second Ezra chapter 9. I'm sure you probably got there by now, and it reads starting at verse 1. He answered me then, and he said, "Measure thou the time diligently in itself." Well, see, now, why would we go past that? Measure the time diligently in itself. The Father always has me talk about his prophetic timeline. And in his prophetic timeline, he's always telling you, I'm doing this stuff. Okay, he's telling Ezra, I'm the one that's doing all of this. So you need to think about what I'm doing in this timeline. Does it match up with what you talk about from your lust and what you want? Does it match up in reference to what you are reading, understanding, and disseminating to the people, specifically to the selection of the election? Are you disseminating the truth of thus saith Yahawashi to the elect and those that have been selected of the election at this timeline? That's why it says, answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently. Why do you have to measure it diligently? Because it's not for everyone to understand what he's doing in the timelines at this point in itself, he said. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before. When did he tell you before? He told you back in Deuteronomy. He told you back in Numbers. He told you back in Joel and Amos, all of that. You've been told. Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time, see, he ain't changing, wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made, which we see that happening. Now, that he's visiting means he's doing things to the world that he created and everybody he created on and in the world. He's doing things to them. Okay? This is what's going on, all right? Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spoke of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Man, I could stop there, but I'm not because he don't want me to. So he's saying from the beginning to the end, I've already got everything under my control, and I'm covering everything that's under my control. I'm covering absolutely everything under my control, okay? That's what he's telling you. 5, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. I'll say it again for maybe respectfully some of the people who are a little slow spiritually and picking up where the Father's drawing this to. All right? For like as all that is made. Did he leave anything out? All that is made in the world, where in the world hath the beginning. Who made it in the beginning? Father made it, gave it to Yahawashi and the angels, and then they constructed it. And an end, the end is manifest. The end of what? The end of the prophetic timeline and the process of what he has set in motion, that he is now cleansing and purifying so that his continuous creational process can be in his presence and can continue to evolve and grow. Okay, but I'm not going to stop there. All right. All right. Even so, number 6, even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonder and powerful works, and endings in effects and signs. In other words, even though you may not understand why he's doing all this, okay, it's a wonder to you. He's bugging Jake out. He's bugged Jake out, and as Elder Yahawashi was saying, Jake's more wicked than Esau now. But actually, he's not, but I understand his position because of what he's saying. It do appear that. That's why even so, the times of the highest plain beginnings in wonder, you wonder and say, his powerful works and endings and effects and signs. Man, the Lord is the Father, and he's just doing all this stuff. And it's over here, it's up here, it's down there, it's everywhere. He got Jake doing this, he got Esau making that. He got the Father got this all going all over the place. All these signs, right? All these works. He controls it all. And if we don't receive it right, we think that, whoa, man, look at Esau doing this or doing that. Well, man, look at these Hamites over here doing it. No, the Father's doing it all. He's in complete control. Don't get it twisted. Okay? All right, 7. And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed. So, how you going to believe something that you don't understand? And how you going to believe something that you don't receive right in terms of accuracy? If you receive something that's not accurate, how can it possibly be contributed to your works for you to be saved? See, okay, case in point, if you believe that you got to be a Jesus Christ, fake white Jesus Christ worshiping individual, a creation of the Father, do you believe that's going to save you? You do? Well, that's what he got you doing. Then you're supposed to be bugged out in that manner and follow that symbology in that creation religious worshiping and go where that's going. And that's what's going to happen. Okay? All right. 8 shall be, okay, let me get 7 again to clarify. And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed. 8 shall be preserved, right? Shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. Now, are you in your land, and are you in the borders that the Father set up for the chosen people of the Most High? I ain't talking about wacky-tacky fake people and fake Jewish people and all that. No, I'm talking about those that he said that belong in his land that he gave and within his borders. So how do you earn the right to be in that position? That comes from being able to clearly and clarifyingly pick up the clues so you don't get abused and you can move into that position where he can put you when it's time in the land and in his borders. Okay? Because he sanctified them, and you can't change his sanctification. Okay? All right. And all right, now it says here, all right. Nine, then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, they have not picked up the clues, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. Okay? Now, Father's saying, just like he said, they cast not, the scripture that talks about why does the wicked put his words or his parables and his law in their mouth when they don't even follow it, roughly paraphrasing, because they can't, right? All right, 10, for such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me. We see how the Most High, Yahawah, through Yahawashi and angels, have puppetized the wicked, Job 9:24. And they've gotten the opportunity to have their form of heaven here where they are. And they've been using it, and they've been flaunting it, and they've been throwing it all over the entire world. And they've been receiving benefits and have not known the Most High. 11, and they that have loathed my law, while they yet had liberty, when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it. So when you have the clues, and the Father gives you the clue and tells you that he needs you to praise, worship, and pray and repent, wrap that in repentance and send it through Yahawashi to him, so he can receive that from you and then continue to lead you in a blessing way. You don't do it. When you read it and when you get it taught to you by the men of the Lord that teach you that you're supposed to do this, and you know it's in Exodus, you know it's in Revelation about the 4 and 20 elders that sit on the throne, and they get off their thrones and they're praising and worshiping the Most High because they got spiritual bodies, they got crowns, they got thrones, which have to be associated with some other areas of occupation as far as land or I don't know, mansions or whatever. I ain't there, I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I'm saying I know what it said. So if they're willing to continue to give praise and worship and they're not praying, they may be, I don't know. I can't say for sure because I don't know. Are they praying? They probably are praying in heaven continuously, but we know for sure it says that they're praising and worshiping. Okay? So that's a form of repentance on a regular and a daily basis that they're performing to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Now, why we won't do it here? Why we just get a portion? Why we just supposed to pray? Right? Now, anybody said you ain't supposed to pray without ceasing, I completely concur and agree. I don't have any qualms or problems about praying without ceasing. I do it. I'm praying all the time in my mind, in my spirit, as I'm walking, as I'm driving, as I'm going here, as I'm eating, as I'm not eating, as I'm just watching something else or listening to a lesson. I got prayer going on all the time. But I understand you have to praise and worship. It's not the same thing. And you're supposed to express it. If House of David, are we not supposed to be following in this period of time right now and taking into the new covenant, the House of David activities in terms of what it's going to be like when we're there, not fallen state House of David activities, because that's not going to be the case. But if you are, what did David do? He was praising and worshiping. Even if he did things wrong, he was still praising and worship. What the hell is wrong with us? Good gracious, man. Foreheads are flint, even the ones in the truth, man. You're so smug and arrogant and you think that you know every damn thing. And I'm telling you, you don't praise and worship. Show it. And you can't just lean it on being out on the highways and byways, and you can't just lean it on being here on the internet. You can't just lean it on, oh, I do it in my private. No, He even says he wants open praise and worship. He wants open praise and worship. Why? See, part of him confessing you to his Father is the open praise and worship that he's expecting you to do. No one said you had to be a spectacle. No one said you had to go out and pray in public. No one's saying that. But the open praise and worship is definitely part of it. When, where, how are you doing it? It's not a private thing. You don't have to be a wacky-tacky religious practitioner to praise and worship. Then shall they be a pitiful case, which we are, me included. I'm number one, a pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, the Father's ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. And are we not dwelling in torments here? Why are we? Because we're a pitiful case, man. We all, look, I'm starting with me. I know I'm a piece of shit here on this earth. I ain't got no power. I can't do anything but praise, worship, and pray the Most High. I ain't claiming no power of none. Only power that the Father has given me is the ability to try to understand the clues so I can fit any kind of faith, righteous faith in the grace that he's given. That's all I know. That's all I know. 10. For such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me. Man, I was receiving benefits from the Father in so many ways. I can't tell you how many times my health is at a point where I should be out of here. And I received benefits from him, and I didn't even know him the way I should know him and know him now. I know it. I know I'm wretched. I ain't complaining. Hey, look, I ain't saying nothing. I know that my wretchedness is shining as a bright light, and I just praise, worship, and pray, and he'll forgive me. And they that have loathed my law while they yet have liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was opened unto them, understood not, but despised it. 12, the same must now know it after death by pain. And I don't want to earn that. None of us want to earn that. Have death by pain. Know it after death. Do you get that? He's saying we already going through pain now while we're here. I know I go through pain. Most of us do. But he's saying even after death, you're going to know by pain. Who wants that? Who wants to earn that? So you want to complain about the Father doing things the way he's doing it. And he just said above all of that, and then down to 12, he's saying, the same must know it after death by pain. So now you're going to get some more pain when it's over. And you know, judgment starts with the house of the Lord first. So don't think you're skipping around it. 13, and therefore be thou not curious how the ungodly shall be punished, and when, but inquire how the righteous shall be saved, whose the world is and for whom the world was created. So how do you inquire about what the righteous is going to do, right? And that's not very hard. The Father is already telling you, don't worry about what I'm doing with the wicked, which tells you what? It should automatically register in your brain. I'm doing this to them. I am doing this to them. So stop worrying about how I'm kicking the wicked in the ass. That is not your job. See, Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi's year of full disclosure and exposure is telling you, why are you concerned about how I'm bugging Jake out and doing this shit? Hey, look, I told you to explain, not to complain. You don't gotta complain. The little bit of complaining that comes at the end of the explaining or at the beginning of your explaining, and then at the end of your explaining, the little bit of complaining, Shalaki, that comes at the beginning and the little bit of complaining that comes at the end should be very small, because the explaining in the middle of that is what you should be doing and focused on. a little bit of complaining. Of course, we're in the flesh. We're going to bitch and moan and cry and sigh. We're supposed to. A little bit of complaining, a whole lot of explaining, and a little bit of complaining, but fashion it and wrap it in the fact that the Father's doing it through Yahawashi, Hamashiach, and the angels. That's it. Then answered I and said, boy, okay, the Father's now going to listen to me complain, right? Or ask a question. 14, then answered I and said, I have said before, and now do speak, and will speak it also hereafter, that there be many more of them which perish than them which shall be saved. So, Most High said in Romans 9 that he made vessels fitted for destruction, vessels of wrath fitted for destruction, roughly paraphrased. So if that's what they're made for and fitted for, they're going to destroy shit. They're going to destroy what I talked about in the 6 days of the 613 laws, pulling out the 6 and saying, day 1, the light in the darkness, they're going to be destroying shit. Shalaki. Day 2, in the sky, they're going to be destroying. Day 3, dry land and plants, they're going to be destroying. Day 4, sun, moon, and stars, they're going to try to destroy. They can't do that because he said they can't touch the earth, but they're going to try. Day 5, the water and sky animals, they have been destroying. Most High is doing it through them, but this is what they've been doing. Day 6, what? Land animals and more people, they are destroying. They are vessels fitted for destruction. What do you expect them to do? Their job. Just like the left-hand side of the Most High's power with Satan and the other angels. They're going to do their job. Why are you complaining? They got to do that. And all of tribulation and processes have to go through for us to get out of here. Maybe if you stop complaining, we might get out of here a little faster. Think about that. Okay? All right, 16. Like as a wave is greater than a drop, of course. And he answered me in saying, like as the field is, so is also the seed, as is the flowers be, such are the colors also. Such as the workman is, such also is the work. And as the husband is himself, so it is his husbandry also, for it was the time of the world. The Father's just breaking down the fact that everything he's done has a purpose for why he's doing it in the way and manner he's doing it, and who the hell are you to complain about it, okay? And now when I prepared the world, which was not yet made, see, hello, even for them to dwell in that now live, no man spake against me. So, how are you speaking against the Most High now in terms of what he said here? If you complaining about the way he's taking this to an end, your ass is speaking against him. 18 again. And now when I prepared the world, which was not yet made, even for them to dwell in that now live. See, before he even got everything all set up for your ass to be here, you want to come, you want to no, man spake against him. You couldn't speak against him because it wasn't even finished yet. But now when it is, you got something to say, right? You got a complaint. You have a complaint department. Well, he got a complaint box to put it in. It's called the Ark of the Covenant. But you can't get a complaint in there, can you? Okay? 19. For then everyone obeyed. See, everyone obeyed. But now the manners of them which are created in the world that is made are corrupted by a perpetual seed, and by a law which is unsearchable rid themselves. See, that's not picking up the clues to know where this is all driving to. So this seed is corrupted in that manner, okay? 20, so I considered the world, and behold, there was peril because of the devices that were come into it. These devices are being used, but you got to understand, a device is being used by someone, a creation the Father had. But if you understand who that creation is and how that's a vessel of wrath fitted for destruction, and what they touch, they're going to use in that manner that he's talking about, in terms of the devices that were come into it. In other words, he already told you they're going to be making this stuff and doing this stuff anyway, because he's allowed this to happen to perpetuate and take forward the tribulation to the end of this period of time that we're in. So we have to go through this, okay? All right. Okay. 21. And I saw and spared it greatly, and have kept me a grape of a cluster and a plant of a great people. So the Father says, my plan is working the way it's supposed to. And I designed it that way. And I kept myself a selection of election, okay, of a people, of a great people, which he's calling you, which means you're picking up the clues, and you're doing it in such a fashion that you're getting to the next clue in terms of how we can get out of here. And instead of complaining, you're working out your salvation in fear and trembling by picking up the next clue and the next clue, just like, you know, a good detective. And as you continue to detect the clues and go through it, it makes the tribulation process happen in a time sequence that you can try to match up your spirit with. Okay, so this is what's important, right? 22. Let the multitude perish then, which was born in vain. See, those are the ones that he selected to do exactly what's going to happen. 2/3 got to go through 2/3. Heathens got to go through the heathen process they're going through. The elect, and rest going through their process. Everyone has to go through the process he already set in motion, predestined. So, you know, they were made in vain. Vain means they were made for the purpose that they're going to fulfill. Okay, and let my grape be kept and my plant, for with great labor have I made it perfect. See? I keep saying, he keeps telling you, you keep hearing him give you the clue about perfect. Why does he keep saying perfect in places where, in scripture, where you need to highlight that and pick it up to really understand? Nevertheless, if thou wilt cease yet 7 days more, but thou shalt not fast in them. In other words, don't try to start a ritual or doing something that you think is going to expedite what he's doing, because you can't, or slow it down. You can't. Don't do that. Follow the clues. Listen, 24. But go into the field of flowers, go into the field of the world. When he talks about the field, he's always talking about the world. Flowers is in reference to what we're going to use as a form of nourishment for the mind, body, and soul and spirit, right? The field of flowers where no house is builded, see? So, see, don't think it's, oh, I'm going around a flower bed at the house. That's not what he's talking about. And eat only the flowers of the field, taste no flesh, drink no wine, but eat flowers only. What does he mean? See, the herbs, the healing leaves, the herbs of healing come from flowers. That's the method upon which they are distributed. Watch, okay? And pray unto the highest continually, then I will come and talk with thee. So when you're praying, he's going to talk with you. But when you 24, he told you to do something and go into the field of the flowers of the field and taste the flesh and taste no flesh and drink no wine. See, those fall in line with practices of worshiping and praise. See, if you can receive that, if you can receive it in your brain, that's what it's doing. He's telling you, give me some praise and some worship here. And then when you go and pray and talk to me, right, I'm going to show you what's going to happen here. He said, all right, and pray unto the highest continually, then I will come and talk with thee. Now, did he say he was going to do anything other than talking? No. All right. So when I went my way into the field, which is called Agaroth, oh, that sounds more like the place that the 10 tribes went to. Okay, let me not digress. Like as he commanded me, and there I sat among the flowers, and I did eat of the herbs, see, and of the field, and the meat of the same satisfied. See? I told you he brings it all together real easy. He said it satisfied me. After 7 days, I sat upon the grass, and my heart was vexed within me, like as before. Why was his heart vexed? Because he was understanding that he was told, don't worry about the ungodly and the wicked. I'm doing all this stuff. Concentrate, get your mind and your spirit surrounded around what you're supposed to spiritually be doing for the selection of election that I need you to work with and to assist in understanding the management process that Yahawashi is bringing forward. That's why he said, upon the 7 days, I sat upon the grass and my heart was vexed within me like as before. After 7 days. Now, after 7 days is the 8th day, which is new beginnings, which starts the infinitive cycle continuously. It's not starting over. It's just a continuing cycle, infinitive cycle. So the 7th day was bringing you the understanding of the continuous cycle that's going to move forward in terms of the process you're learning about what he's doing with his creation in the world. And I opened my mouth and began to talk before the Most High and said, O Lord, thou that showest thyself unto us, thou wast shown unto our fathers in the wilderness, in a place where no man treadeth, in a barren place, when they came out of Egypt. And thou speakest, saying, hear me, O Israel. Now, is he saying anything about the rest of the world hearing him? No. Is he saying anything about a religious order of individuals hearing him? No. He said, hear me, O Israel, and mark my words, thou seed of Jacob. See, that's why it's no need to try to explain or break down understanding to those this doesn't apply to, or any information that doesn't apply to them. The wacky-tacky religious practitioners, this doesn't apply to them, so why waste any time trying to break it down to them? Again, you can complain a little, you can explain all the most, and you can complain a little at the end if you want to. That's fine, I guess, because you're telling the Father you love him and you want to fulfill what he wants you to do, that he's programmed you to do. But the explaining part doesn't apply to those that they're not under the law, that don't apply to them, that should not be involved with this truth, okay? Don't waste time on them, all right? If you don't see within their spirit is divulged to you that they could be a scattered Israelite, don't waste no time with them. Keep it moving. Let them go. Don't get in a fight. Don't get hostile. Just let them keep it going, okay? All right, now, 31. For behold, I sow my law in you. See, this is akin to what's going to happen in the new kingdom, in the new covenant, where the laws will be, we will be a representation of a living, breathing, walking law of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. We will be children of Yahawah that will be a walking, breathing, actual physical entity of that particular level of law and understanding in that infinitive cycle. Okay, so there will be no way for you to address or approach anything or any other creation that does not have the same exact makeup as you. Can you receive that? When he says, behold, I sow my law in you, just touching that in the new covenant, when you are of that level of sovereignty and righteousness and cleansed and purified, you can't intermingle with anything else other than exactly what is like you. See, marinate on that a little bit, because I know a lot of times we get these lustful interpretations in our minds that we're going to be doing stuff, with other nations and entities, whereas we're going to combine with them. And you ain't going to be combining with no damn heathens in the new covenant in a righteous body that has the law. You are a walking representation, a walking, flying, whatever power you have or don't, representation of what the Father's putting as a cleaned up, perfect, righteous entity. You ain't combining with nothing else that ain't like you. And if you think you are, prove it. Prove it. Can't, because you ain't doing it. If it ain't righteous, cleaned and purified by the Most High, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, in the new covenant, in the new kingdom, with that new perfect cleansed law in you, that you walking around and flying around or whatever, and that you in, only thing that can touch you is something that has the same thing. And he ain't cleaning up no damn heathens. But our fathers, which received the law, kept it not. Okay, now I'm going to 31. For behold, I sow my law in you, and it shall bring fruit in you, and ye shall be honored in it forever. That's what it says, forever. That's the infinitive process I told you about. Continuous creation at the level that you have been espoused to in his order. Everything in heaven will have an order. Everything in the new covenant, new kingdom will be in order. Complete order, just like it is right now in complete order, okay? So you ain't doing nothing out of order. You ain't taking spiritual power and going to do whatever you want. Everything's in order, okay? And it says, for behold, I sow my law in you, and it shall bring forth fruit in you, okay? And ye shall be honored in it forever. But our fathers which received the law, see here, in this evil temporal world, as my brother Yaki said, Elder Yaki be saying, in this evil temporal world, right, received the law and kept it not, and observed not thy ordinances, and though the fruit of thy law did not perish, neither could it, for it was thine. So the Father's saying, I still was dealing with you, but I was dealing with you through this process of this fallen state to get you to cleanse and purification, so that when you get into the new kingdom and covenant, that infinitive cycle of creation that you are will exist forever, and it will stay clean, and you can't mess it up or muddy it up or dirty it up anymore. What? Okay? Okay? All right. All right, neither could it, or for it was thine. Yet, 33, yet they that received it perished, because they kept not the thing that was sown in them. In other words, you had it sown in you, but your process had to go through a continuous cleaning, and you didn't pick up the clues right. All right? And lo, it is a custom when the ground hath received seed, or the seed a ship, or any vessel, meat or drink, that being perished, wherein it was sown or cast into it. So basically, the level of corruption had to well up to be washed out. Okay, it's got to be. And this is what we're going through. So stop complaining. We got to do this. We have to do this. Okay? All right. That thing also which was sown or cast therein or received doeth perish and remaineth not with us, but with us it hath not happened so, meaning we still are salvageable, and we are going to be saved through Yahawashi, Bahasham, Yahawashi, particularly Yahawashi sent. For we that have received the law perish by sin, and our heart also which receive it. And that's why we got to understand this fallen state and the things here, you're not going to transfer them. The lustful elements and rudiments and things that are wicked are not going into the new kingdom. He ain't cleaning that stuff up for nobody. He ain't doing that. Notwithstanding the law perisheth not, but remaineth in his force. So his law doesn't perish. What he does, he said, is he's not going to have the same as it was in a fallen state. You can't have the fallen state attributes of the law in the new covenant when it doesn't apply in the same manner. No war and all that stuff is going to be going on. Brothers always talk about, if we're in our land, there's not going to be no wars. Like in Small has some people over there, they got wars and everything going all over the world. Once we're put back in the position we belong in, but we got to be cleansed and purified first before we get into that position, then at that particular time, the Most High is going to make it such that there will be no need for wars, no need for any transgressions in that matter. There will be no reprobates. There will be no need to reprove anyone anymore, and not us anyway. I'm not talking about the other nations. I'm talking about the Israelites who are now the sons and daughters of Yahawah with power. Okay, some similitude of power. I'm not talking about the heathens. They still going to be the way they're going to be, and the Father going to have them in the condition they're in, and He's going to place the order of management on them through Yahawashi, down through King David and the rest of the 144 in governance, as well as any individual priest and anyone else that's going to be participating in managing the rest of the nations. However the Father sets it up. I don't know exactly how the order is going to go and what rank, but I know it's going to be in order, okay? All right, 38. And when I spake these things in my heart, I looked back with mine eyes, and upon the right side I saw a woman, and behold, she mourneth, right? And wept with her loud voice, and was much grieved in her heart, and her clothes were rent, and she had ashes upon her head. Now that's bringing into the similitude of talking about Israel in terms of how we are going through the cleansing and the purification process and all of what has to happen. And then talks about, she had a son, and the son perished. And then, she also said unto me, thy servant had been barren and had no child, though I had a husband 30 years. But it's talking similitude of Yahweh. It's talking the similitude of Yahawashi and everything that was transpired that come through prophecy. I'm not going to go any further on this particular chapter here. I got to 37. I gave you 38 to speak to that after what happens with Israel as that woman that they're speaking of. But we're going to go now, and we're going to go to the precepts that I have set up. I only got a few more, and then we'll be coming out of this lesson real soon here. So now I'm going to, the next place I'm going back to my King James Bible. So bear with me, okay? And we're going to bring in information that speaks towards, in more detail about the lesson when I talk about Yahawah, Shem Yahawashi, year of full disclosure and exposure. And so we started out, of course, in Matthew, remember, in 13, and we showed how Yahawashi explained the parables and why he spoke in those. And that's talking about full disclosure and exposure when he explained that, remember, in Matthew. And then we also talked about in Ezra chapter 9, where that was more disclosure and exposure to Ezra in reference to why the Father is doing what he's doing with us, the rest of the world, the nation, and what direction he's taking prophecy, and how prophecy is spinning in the tribulation process going forward. And so just wanted to make sure I referenced that so you know why you heard Matthew and 2nd Ezra's 9, and then now we're moving on to some precepts that will go from the New Testament to the Old Testament and so on and so forth. Okay, so the first place I want to go is I'm going to go to Job. So go with me. I'm going to the Old Testament. I'm going to go to Job. One of the things that I know that my brothers were bringing out a lot recently in terms of watching some of the lessons, they've all been talking about Job chapter 15, right? And they always swing in on number 5, but we're going to go from the top and we're going to read at least 1 down to maybe 35, and we're going to break some things out, all right? Okay, so we'll get to 5, and then we'll do it. Matter of fact, let me give you 5. For thy mouth uttereth thine iniquity, and thou choosest the tongue of the crafty. Okay? And then 6, thine own mouth condemneth thee, and not I, yea, thine own lips testify against thee. And of course, when we've been talking about the disclosure of what's happening with Esau Edom and how his world now is falling, his tongue falling upon himself. And, he's making his own self bare, roughly paraphrased. I think I got that one in there too, my precept in here. And because he's prophesied that he would do this, and that he would talk about himself in this way. And we also talked about, Isaiah 19, where Egyptian will fight against Egyptian, city against city, and we know that that's what the Father's pushing us towards, because we see that the Hamites, that are Egyptians, are being forced over here to perpetuate evil and wickedness that the Father has planned in prophecy towards taking down this evil temple world and this kingdom, as Brother Yaki says. And of course, those perpetrators and false Egyptian imposters, the so-called Edomites, who have adopted the Egyptian belief systems and phallic symbols and everything else they got going on. So they're going to now clash with each other in probably the similitude of some kind of a civil war that's coming up, if you want to coin it that. But it's all prophetically said in the Most High in Isaiah 19, so that this is what they're going to do. And we don't need to receive that, but we can go and get it, but we know that we're going to talk about it. Let's go and start at the top with Job 15:1. Then answered Eliphaz the Temanite. Now these Temanites are Germans, so-called Germans of today. That's why the Most High said, is there no more wisdom in Teman? Okay, which there is not, because every wisdom is going away. These Temanites were speaking to Job, and it says here, and they said, should a wise man utter vain knowledge and fill his belly with the east wind? In other words, they think they know every damn thing. And we notice that be the case. 3, should he reason with unprofitable talk? Do we not hear that all the time? People reason with unprofitable talk all the time. And fill his belly with the east wind, right? Should he reason with unprofitable talk, or with speeches wherewith he can do no good? 4, yea, thou castest off fear and restraineth prayer before Yahawah. Why do they do that? Because they don't even believe that he's controlling everything. They think he just set it loose and then it's just doing whatever it's supposed to do. But of course, that is not correct. Okay? And it says here, 5, for thy mouth uttereth thine iniquity, see, and thou choosest the tongue of the crafty. 6, thine own mouth condemneth thee, and not I, yea, thine own lips testify against thee. Art thou the first man that was born? Question. See, you're not. Or wast thou made before the hills? Job he's giving Job a soliloquy of questions and answers kind of together. He's kind of asking him and then telling him, you ain't the person that knows everything. You didn't create nothing. I created everything. And why you complaining? Why are you complaining about what I'm doing? I can make life easy and hard for anybody I want to. He's Yahawashi, Bahasham, Yahawashi. So he can do whatever he wants, and he does. Anyway, just to give a little synopsis on that part of it. 9, what knowest thou that we know not? Question. What understandest thou which is not in us? In other words, you can't even validate why I do what I do and the way I do it, and if I plan to or not plan to do it. I always say this all the time when I'm talking to those individuals in my life who love me and I love them. I say, listen, I'm not going to try to second guess or think that something has to happen a certain way. The unbelievable, the impossible, the Father's already showed me that he's done it. He's done it in my life and he's still doing it. So I don't question, is he going to do it or how's he going to do it? I expect the unexpected with the Most High, and it's going to happen. That's the measure of faith that I wish to try to praise, worship, and pray and repent for, to put in that grace, that elastic area of grace that he's offered to my vessel and my spirit. I want to put that in there, and I challenge you and ask you to do the same thing. Put in there that faith, that grace that you need to fill. Put that righteous faith that you think of, not wicked faith, but righteous faith, into that grace bubble, and let it grow in capacity to what you're doing to follow the clues for the Father and get through this. Okay. All right. 10. With us are both the gray head and the very aged men, much elder than thy father. Are the consolations of Yahawah small with thee? Is there any secret thing with thee, of course, that he doesn't know? No. Why doeth thine heart carry thee away? And what, Shalaki, and what do thy eyes wink at, right? That thou turnest thy spirit against Yahawah, and lettest such words go out of thy mouth. Well, we know that the Most High is, again, this soliloquy of what he's saying is not as though you can really speak against him, that he doesn't control. He allows and he controls what we say and how we say it, even to the point where he told us if we get delivered up to councils and synagogues and in front of governors, don't be quick to speak out of your own. Wait, because in that hour it will be given to you what to say, which means he can control what you say. Even now at this point, that is the case. So, but see, you got to take in consideration and discern things well when it comes to what is said out of the mouth. The Father has his men of the Lord say a lot of things that will make you go, whoa, how you going to say that? How you going to say something like you got some power that nobody else should look past, or like, hey, I got spiritual power. You better listen to what I say, or you gonna die, or the Most High will destroy you, or you better fear me. See, Most High is going to have his vessels say what he needs them to say, whether it is going to be something that's contrary, or whether it's going to be something that's positive towards the situation, or whatever. He's still in control of this. I don't know any other way to explain or teach this. He keeps telling me and pounding on my spirit all the time. Always make sure you telling them there is nobody doing nothing that I'm not in control of. What they say, what they do, what they think, what they eat, nothing. And the sooner you get that foundational understanding locked down and solidly in your spirit to understand that the way you talk and the way you think will change. It will become better directed and managed by the Most High. When you have that lockdown in your spirit, that everything you do and anything he does, he's doing it. And you have to say it. I did a lesson telling you, don't be calling the Father obvious. Don't think, oh, it's obvious that the Most High is doing it. Don't you dare say that. That's disrespectful. Oh, so you won't say all the time and every time out of your mouth, when you should remember to say that that our Heavenly Father, Yahawah, is doing all this, and he controls it all through his son, Yahawashi. You think that just saying Yahawashi is doing it is enough and giving the Father credit? You're sadly mistaken, because Yahawashi is always referencing back to his Father. He always references back to his Father. Tell me Yahawashi don't always reference back to the Father. And if you're mirroring the Mashiach, if you're supposed to be mirroring what Yahawashi is doing, he's doing what his Father's doing. He even told you that. He said, my Father showeth me, I read it in the last lesson I did. My Father shows me, and then I do what my Father showed me. Because the Father's telling him and instructing him, empowering him to do it. So you should be also giving the credit all the way through and still mentioning the Father. Not just mentioning Yahawashi all the time. It's okay to mention Yahawashi all the time. I'm not saying you can't, but you still don't seem to give the Father the credit. It's almost like he's in the background and okay, you don't have to say nothing. That's disrespectful, man. I'm sorry, it is. And if you can't see it, then maybe he got you blocked from it. But that's the way that is. Let me go ahead and finish here on this. Okay. All right, 13, that thou turnest thy spirit against Yahweh, which you can't unless he pushes you in that direction, and lettest such words come out of thy mouth. 14, what is man that he should be clean? Here we go again, clean and purified, right? And he which is born of a woman, that he should be righteous. He's breaking it down. He's breaking us down. Behold, he putteth no trust in his saints. Does he? No. If he did, he would mirror the Mashiach, the highest saints you got. Yea, the heavens are not clean in his sight. See? How much more abominable and filthy is man, which drinketh iniquity like water. He's told you that this is what's going on with it. And this is why he's cleaning, he's not trying, he is cleaning him up. So get in line and stop complaining about it and get on the program, right? Now you got Eliphaz has been seen of life, right? I will show thee, hear me, and that which I have seen, I will declare. Which wise men have told from their fathers and have not hid it, unto whom alone the earth was given. And no stranger passeth among them. The wicked man travaileth with pain all his days, and the number of years is hidden to the oppressor. Right? Dreadful sound is in his ears. In prosperity, the destroyer shall come upon him. Don't we see that right now? We always complaining and whining, and look at Most High got Jakes and everybody else in the world complaining about prosperity, right? And the destroyer shall come upon him. And then that's why he said, you talk about, well, peace, 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 and then what? Sudden destruction come upon you, right? And this is how we got to get out of here? Think about it. Okay? 22, he believeth not that he shall return out of the darkness, and he is waited for, he is waited for of the sword. And that's what happens. He wandereth abroad and bread, saying, he wandereth abroad for bread, saying, where is it? He knoweth that the day of darkness is ready at his hand. They know, everybody knows this is coming. We've been telling them, and they see it, and now it's becoming more apparent. And then what do? I was talking about this not too long ago, where people who we communicate with, right, and who we talk to, and we tell them what's going on, we tell them what's happening, they see it happening, and, they oh, yeah, I see, oh, yeah, thank you for telling me. But then, they disappear back into the world system, because that's what the Most High is doing with them. They get a moment of understanding that passeth through one ear and go out the other, and then they don't pay any attention to it until something drastically starts to happen real close to them. But then once things do that, when you're not talking to them or communicating with them anymore, they start checking the temperature. What do I mean by that? They start measuring the temperature of where you stand in your understanding of the truth. They go, okay, well, I know that, let me call up and see what Brother Obadiah is doing and see what his mindset or his spirit's at, because if he's shook up or he's nervous, then I know to be getting real nervous. You see what I mean? They'll do that kind of stuff. They'll call your friends, family, and relations will call just to see how you sound in reference to all of the things that are happening that the Most High is doing to the world and the people of the world. And they'll just see they'll gauge your temperature or measure your thermometer of paranoia or your thermometer of how much you're concerned about what's actually happening. And if you don't respond, of course, they get even more nervous and they get more scared because you're not responding to them. Well, that's good. That's what you should be doing, because you've been telling them the whole time. And the Most High even said that he was going to laugh at their calamity at some point. So anywhere it go, you're not out of line by not answering them, because you've been giving them this notice and this information for some time. Now, if the Father puts it on your spirit to go back and communicate with them and give them some sort of an answer, then that's what he told you to do. I'm not saying that you shouldn't communicate with them or that you should. I'm saying that it serves the purpose if they call you back and say, answer me, please answer me. Or they send you a myriad of text messages or leaving voice messages because they're now, all shook over the fact that they don't know which direction to think in. But again, it's still the hand of the Most High that's got them in the condition that they're in, as it does with you as well. You're in the condition you're in because of his hand as well. All right? 24, trouble and anguish shall make him afraid. They shall prevail against him as a king ready to the battle. 25, for he stretcheth out his hand against Yahawah and stretcheth out himself against the Almighty, which he's just stretching himself out like prostate because he's now tormented and he's scared. He runneth upon him and even on his neck upon the thick bosses of his bucklers, because he covereth his face with his fatness and maketh collops of the fat on his flanks. He's trying to hide within his misery, okay, by thinking he could, talk himself into being more calm. You see people do this a lot. They're afraid, okay. So they got to try to convince themselves that what they're involved with or believing in or partially believing or not really believing at all, they're trying to convince themselves that it's going to be okay. Oh no, it's going to be fine. Nah, it's going to be all right. I ain't scared. I'll be all right. But really they are scared. But that's what they do. Okay, because he covereth his face with his fatness, and that's what I said, and marketh collops of his fat on his flanks. And he dwelleth in desolate cities and in houses which no man inhabiteth, which are ready to become heaps, which is what we got coming, right? He shall not be rich, neither shall his substance continue, neither shall he prolong the perfection thereof upon the earth, of what he thought was perfection. He shall not depart out of the darkness. See, the flame shall dry up his branches, and by the brethren of his mouth shall he go away. Let not him that is deceived trust in vanity, for vanity shall be his recompense. See, vanity upon vanities, as Solomon says in the Wisdom of Solomon, right? Okay. It shall be accomplished before his time, and his branch shall not be green. He shall shake off his unripe grape as the vine, and shall cast off his flower as the olive. For the congregation of hypocrites shall be desolate, and fire shall consume the tabernacle of bribery. All right? This is what we got seeing, right? They conceive mischief, Shalaki, and bring forth vanity, and their belly prepareth deceit. And this is what you see. You see this compilation of thus they think the Lord is saying in what they're doing in terms of how they monetize Hamashiach, say what they think is going to be given to them in the new covenant, the new kingdom, and they perceive with blasphemous thoughts and ideas. They leave out doctrine. They put in words to doctrine that don't go there in information. And that's what the Father said, for the congregation of hypocrites shall be desolate, and the fire shall consume the tabernacles of bribery. They conceive mischief and bring forth vanity, and their belly prepareth deceit. There you go. So again, that's why he told me to bring that out, because it's important that that be said. And that's why I brought it from that position. Okay. Next, I'm going to John. We got a couple of precepts here, singles, and then we're going to there might be one or two that we have a little bit more of, but got a couple of singles that he gave me, and we're going to roll through these, and then we'll be out of the lesson, because I know y'all just not want to go. Y'all probably, Most High probably got y'all want to go, but that's okay. Go. You can go now. Don't matter to me. You can hang or leave. No problem. John 8. We're going to John chapter 8. Give you some time to get there. And we're going to pop up. We're going to hit a few there. Okay. All right. So we're going to start with John chapter 8 and verse 13. And The Pharisees therefore said unto him, thou bearest record of thyself, and record is not true. See, and this is what you get a lot of when you got a lot of people who, they're not ready for judgment. And they always want to challenge who's coming with the truth. And so they will bring out testimony against you because they don't want to accept the truth. All right. Of course, this is when Yahawashi was, of course, being brought to us as the light of the world, and they did not want to accept that, right? Clearly. All right. Going down to 32. Okay. He said, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Now, how is the truth making anybody free? It's people, when they hear free, they think in terms of there's no restrictions on your flesh, and there's no restrictions on how you use your flesh. This is how they think free is, okay? Well, that's not the free we're talking about. The free is the understanding in your mind that you can start to receive truth that actually changes your condition and the way that you operate in this world, in this fallen state. Okay, so that kind of free is more than the free that you're thinking of from a carnal perspective. Because if you're not free within the heart of your mind, in order to change the conditions on how you operate and pick up the clues that the Father's given you, because he's in control of all things, then you're not free, okay? That's why he said, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And that's how it makes you free. But they think in terms of carnality, like with 33, when they answered, right? They answered him, we be Abraham's seed, and we were never in bondage to any man. How sayest thou, ye shall be made free? See, they automatically went to the carnality side of the understanding and couldn't pick up the spiritual because they were blocked from that position. And in most cases, these were probably Edomites perpetrating themselves as men of the Lord through the ministry with the Sanhedrin and the chief and the high priest. Very much similar to what you see right now in individuals and organizations that present themselves like that. All right. But they don't see the truth either. They're very carnal in their perspectives. Okay. So that was 32. And then we're going to go down to 44. And it says here, ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. Okay. Now, how is it that they're their father, of their father, the devil? It's because the mindset upon which they have been instructed on and that they're leaning on and been directed to lean on from the Most High brought them through the left-hand side where Satan and his angels are in that position to guide these individuals. And this is why Yahawashi is saying what he's saying to them, okay, of the devil, and the lust of your fathers ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When ye speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Now, see, the wacky tackies try to say, oh, yeah, this is talking about Lucifer, the devil, and say, no. Lucifer that's for the king of Babylon, and that's a whole nother situation. That's a title, light bearer. Don't worry about that. Satan himself works for the Most High. He's a high-level contractor made to do the purpose and manage that side of the left-hand side of the Father's work. So when it talks about the devil, it's talking about Esau, Edom. It's talking about the ones that he talked about in the creation he talked about in Romans chapter 9, the vessels of wrath fitted for destruction, okay? This is the devils he's talking about. And these are these devils. These are vessels of wrath fitted for destruction. That's who they're talking. That's who Yahawashi is talking about when he says, ye are of your father, the devil. Those vessels of wrath fitted for destruction. That's who you derive from. And the lust of your fathers you will do. And you were murderers from the beginning, just like with Cain, and you are all the way up to this point, like with Esau, and so on and so forth. That's what he's talking about. Let's make sure. See, that's what I was talking about before, about taking accurate doctrine and giving the right definition, and then giving that right definition, disseminating it appropriately. That's what I was talking about when I said that, okay? All right, now, we did John. So next we're going to go to Mushlaki. We're going to Colossians. Yep. I'm going to Colossians. Go with me to Colossians chapter 2, and I'm going to give you 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the traditions of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Hamashiach. Why? Because that's who the Most High going to use to deceive you. He's going to use his vessels of wrath fitted for destruction, and he's going to use some Israelites and some other heathens, some Hamites and some other nations, and they will as he says here, beware lest they spoil you through vain philosophy, through philosophy and vain deceit, because this is what one of the powers that Esau Edom has been given and is puppetized to use by the Most High Yahweh is deception. He'll spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, as it says in the scripture here, right? You can see that that's what he's doing, because deception is one of his powers. He's got the fatness of the land, and he's got the sword, and he used deception to wield those instruments. Okay. So we got to understand that, all right? And that's what you need to know. After the traditions of men, and of course they make traditions, and the traditions are where they replace landmarks, they change landmarks, they confiscate land, and they take the heritage and they take the heritage of people and their nationalities, and they lie and say that they're the people. And of course, after the rudiments are things that they make up and they build in this world, like cities and stuff that are all concrete with no vegetation, and houses upon houses and right next to each other. These are the rudiments of the world, and not after the way that Hamashiach told them to operate. So we wanted to make sure we broke that down for you in Colossians. Now we're going to go to Proverbs for a minute. I'm going to go to Proverbs chapter 6. So join me. Proverbs chapter 6 first, all right? And I got a little bit to read here. I'm going to start at 16, all right? And it reads, these 6 things doeth Yahweh hate, and yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail or break each one of these down, because you should know what these are if you are the selection of the election. Now, those of you that may not be the selection of the election, you need to do some research and some homework on these 6 things that Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi hates. And I just want to throw in as an added measure, the Most High said that he hated Esau as with an everlasting. He said he has an everlasting hate for him. And so go to Malachi and read about that, right? And so he's one of the things that is probably not mentioned specifically among the 6 things that Yahweh Shem Yahawashi hates. But all of these 6 things fit right into the category of what Esau does, okay? Just wanted to say that, all right? Just so that you know. 16, these 6 things doeth Yahweh hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. Now, you know that's Esau. Come on, who else fits that description other than him, right? A heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that are swift to running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. And he's supposed to be one of our wicked brothers. And yes, he does. 20, my son, keep thy father's commandment and forsake not the law of thy mother. So we clearly see that that's what he do, and that's how he gets down. So now I'm going to Proverbs chapter 3, and I'm going to read 7. Be not wise in thy own eyes, fear Yahweh, and depart from evil, right? So the Father is telling you, don't be wise in your own eyes. You're not going to be able to accomplish anything like that, because he's controlling all things. So that's not going to match up. Go to Mark chapter 7. Mark chapter 7. All right. And I'm going to start at 20 through 23. Of course, this is Yahawashi again speaking to us and giving us some good information. And that's important. That's why he brought these scriptures out specifically, 20. And he said, all right, that which cometh out of a man that defileth the man. 21, for from within out of the heart of men proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, and murder, theft, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, and an evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within and defile the man. So this is why the lesson says that Yahawashi, Yahawashi, the Shai's year of full disclosure and exposure, because that's what that interpretation tells you in reference to that right there. Okay, from here we're going to Ephesians. So go to Ephesians, give you some time to go to Ephesians chapter 5. Going to Ephesians chapter 5, and I'm going to read the verse 12 out of that, and it reads, for it is a shame even to speak of those things which are done of them in secret. All right. And let me give you 13. But all things that are reproved are made manifest by the light. For whatsoever doeth make manifest is light. Wherefore he saith, awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Hamashiach shall give thee light. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil, because that's how the Most High is pushing us out to get us out of here. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. Not your will, not your camp will, not your organization will, not your church will, not your father, mother, brother, sister, husband, wives' will, but the Lord's will is. And be not drunk with wine, whereas in excess, but be filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, the Spirit. Right? Speaking to yourselves in psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs, call on Yahawah, right? And singing and making melody in your heart to the Lord, but you can give it outward too amongst the brethren and the men, giving thanks always for all things unto Yahweh and the Father in the name of our Lord Yahawashi Hamashiach, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear, the love. Fear represent love of Yahweh. All right, make sure I gave you the rest of that right there in Ephesians, because it was worth giving it to you, and if you can receive it. Isaiah chapter 5 is where we're going now. We're getting ready to wrap this up. Isaiah, and we got chapter 5. And I'm going to give you 20 is what he gave me. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Right? Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. Woe unto them that are mighty to drink wine and men of strength to mingle strong drink, which justify the wicked for reward and take away the righteous of the righteous from him. All right? And of course, you know, Father's telling you in 24, therefore, as a fire devoureth the stubble and the flame consumeth, like he talks about in Obadiah, about the Esau becoming stubble, and the flame consumeth the chaff, so their root shall be as rottenness, and their bosom, their blossom shall go up as dust, because they have cast away the law of Yahweh of hosts and despised the word of the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy One of Israel, Yahawashi. All right, just wanted to give you that one. All right, then we're going to go to, and of course, you know, 25 talks about the anger of the Lord kindled against his people and has stretched forth his hand against them and have smitten them, and the hills did tremble, right? And their carcasses were torn in the midst of the streets. For all this, his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. Just want to finish 25 on that. Now we're going to 1 Timothy. So go with me to 1 Timothy. And I'm going with 5:20 here and 20, and it reads, them that sin rebuke before all, and others also may fear, right? So the Most High wants us to rebuke, but again, as he was telling me to tell you, complain a little, explain a whole lot, complain a little at the end, but validate that the Most High Father is the one who is doing it all, okay? All right, so make sure you know that, all right? And we're almost done. The next one is, what is it? The next one, yep, you can tell my time is about up. Yep, we're going to give Revelation. No, let me get 1 John, Shalaki. Give me 1 John and Shalaki, and 2 in verse chapter 2. 1 John verse 2. Chapter 2, right? And verse 4. 1 John 2:4. He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whosoever keepeth his word, in him verily is the love of Yahawah perfected. Hereby know we that we are in him. He that saith he abideth in him ought himself also so to walk even as he walked. Right? All right, brethren, I write no new commandment unto you, but an old commandment which ye had from the beginning. The old commandment is the word which ye have heard from the beginning. Again, a new commandment I write unto you, right? Which thing is true in him and in you, because the darkness is past and the true light now shineth, all right? And we're going to finish out with Revelation. And we're going to finish out with Revelation 1:3, all right? Revelation chapter 1 and 3, and it reads, blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. Call hello, my Father Yahawashi, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Regardless, the water, Yahawashi, the water, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Shalaki, Yahawashi, for my sins as I cry. Oh Lord, Yahweh, Vashim, Yahawashi, Barakatah, Yahweh, for your mercy all the time. Oh Lord.